See, if milk is becoming curd, the same milk is transforming into curd, that is called parinama, that is change. Vivarta is something is not undergoing any change, it is appearing as something different, so that is called vivarta. It is appearing as something else. So Brahman is the vivarta, nimitta, upadana karanam for this jagat. So that is the picture. So Mayi sarvam idam protam sutre manigana iva. So all that shloka, it will tell you that the whole thing is a vivarta. Then subsequently we saw statements like Rasoham apsu kaunteya, Prabhasmi shashi suryayoho. What all the things which you see in this universe, this is nothing but my own manifestation. Then he also said, Dharma viruddho bhuteshu kamosmi bharatarshabha. Even this raga, dvesha, kama and all these things, they are all the things which are manifestations of these three gunas only. And then my nature, dharma viruddho bhuteshu kamosmi. I represent that particular desire in a human being which is in consonance with dharma. Dharma aviruddha, that which is in consonance with dharma. That which is in consonance with dharma, that which is not in contradiction with dharma. That particular desire is myself. So that is what we also saw in this thing. Then from this in this 13th shloka, Tribhir gunamayair bhavaihi yebhis sarvamidam jagat mohitam na abhijanati. So there Lord Krishna is again postulating the idea of Maya. Daivi hyesha gunamayi mama maya duratyaya. So he is postulating this concept of Maya. Maya is something which is having these three characteristics, that is Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. We also explained, we had a very long discussion on that. And then in the second line, Mameva ye prapadyante mayam etam tarantite. There we discussed the word called prapadyante. Prapadyante does not mean prapatti or sharanagati and then this sense of duality, worshipping God with an idea of duality. Here, prapadyante means recognizing as your own self. Recognizing that Brahman as your own self is the meaning of that prapadyante, because Bhashyakara says prapadyante means vishayi kurvanti. So that is what he says. Bhashyakara, he says that they know they know me as their own self. So that is what Krishna says. Then those who know this Maya, those who realize, those who understand this Maya, they will be able to cross over the world. The world means cross over the Maya, etam taranti means here an example of taranti. Taranam actually means crossing over a river or crossing over an ocean. It is as though you are swimming in an ocean. And then if you understand this game called Maya, you are able to swim that ocean or you are able to swim that river. Whatever, whether you call it a river or whether an ocean. Samsara is usually compared to an ocean, bhava sagara, they say. Then we come across a very, very popular sloka, that is Chaturvidha bhajante mam janas sukrutino Arjuna. There are 4 types of people who come to realize or who approach this divinity, who come to God, let us say. What are these people? Artaha jignasuhu artharthi jnani cha bharatarshava. Artha is one who is in distress. A person who is a distressed person, like we also saw the examples of Kunti among human beings, and Gajendra. Gajendra again, he was once a king and then he still has that, all that Purva Janma Smriti, even as a Gajendra. Gajendra, of course, that animal, the story of that elephant, which we come across in Bhagavatam, Gajendra was a king earlier. So Gajendra, Draupadi, all these are examples of these Artha Bhaktas. Artha, those who are in severe distress and who want immediate help. They send a sort of SOS. They send a sort of SOS to Lord, and then that Lord has to immediately appear, immediately send some saris to Draupadi on one hand, and then send some chakram in the case of Gajendra. So he is a man who immediately responds. He is something like an emergency call. So artaha. Then jignasu. Jignasu is somebody who is having that jnatum ichcha, that is say inclination to know what it is. So he is a jignasu. Then artharthi. Artharthi also we saw some people like Dhruva. So those who already they are not arthas, but then they want more stability, they want more prosperity. Any number of examples. We all come under the category of artharthis. We all come under, because though we have some little bit of say wherewithal, we still want something more. We still want something more. We want to establish ourselves in a more strong way. So all of us fall under the category of artharthi. So artaha, jignasuhu, artharthi. The last one is a jnani. Jnani also continues to worship God. That is another point which we have to see. Jnani, the moment say a person understands the nature of divinity, it does not mean that he totally discards. He does not discard all the forms of worship. He will still continue to do that worship. We have seen it earlier also in the 4th chapter. A jnani, he will continue to do karma. That is called jnani karma. And why does he do karma? He has to do karma because he knows, he realizes that he is a sort of role model for the other. That is number one. Number two, he does it with abheda drushti. The other people, artaha, jignasu, artharthi, they worship God with that bheda drushti. Bheda drushti is the feeling of duality. I am different from that. Whereas this jnani, he does it with abheda drushti. So that is the basic difference between jnani puja and ajnani puja. So these four categories we have seen in this shloka. Then Lord himself says, Tesham jnani nitya yuktaha ekabhaktir vishishyate. So he is a nitya yukta. That is somebody who is a samahita chitta, who is steadfast in his knowledge of me, who is steadfast in that Brahman awareness. So that is the meaning of samahita chitta. So he is me, priyohi jnaninaha atyarthamaham sacha mama priyaha. I am the dearest to him and he is dearest to me. So that is what he said. Then he also complimented, or rather commended, Udara sarva evaite. All these people are commendable, they are praiseworthy, because they have at last realized that what is that supreme thing and what is not supreme thing. They have not gone to inferior forms of worship. They have come to this higher form of worship. They may be arthas, they may be jignasu, they may be artharthis, but then they have come to realize that there is something supreme, and then they are coming to me. So that is what he said. Then another wonderful word which we saw was Bahunam Janmanam Ante. Then at the end of so many janmas, one becomes a Jnanavan. And Shankaracharya used a beautiful expression, Jnanartha Samskararjanashrayanam. Life is something which is a sort of a tool for you to develop samskaras which will generate jnana. Jnanartha Samskara Arjana Ashrayana. So life is a sort of tool, this janma is a sort of tool which enables you to acquire these vasanas, to gather these vasanas, which will help you in attaining jnana. At some stage, you keep on acquiring all these samskaras, and with all the strength of these samskaras, you will attain jnana at some point of time. And maybe Bahunam Janmanamante. Or if the samskara strength is so strong, you will become a jnani in this janma itself. So that is what we saw in this shloka. Then another a very important thing which we saw was about the worship of so many gods. Kamaihi taisaihi hrutagnyanaha prapadyante anya devataha. So somebody who wants some Chudra Shakti, suppose you come across so many types of people who do this Chudra Puja. Chudra Puja means they go to some smashana, that is a graveyard, they sit on some skulls, and then they do some puja of some Shakini, Dhakini and so many things. So all these people who do these Chudra Pujas, they want some physical powers. So that is what he says, Kamaihi taistaihi hrutagnyanaha. By all these petty desires, their jnanam, their intelligence has been hijacked, it has been stolen. Hrutagnyanaha. Hruta means it is stolen. They are robbed away. Their intelligence, their prajna, their discrimination is robbed away, and then those fellows, they are doing some petty worship, and then they want some powers, some siddhi, some anima siddhi, mahima siddhi, or something like that, or they want to say kill an enemy. So there are some abhicharika prayogas you must have heard. They create a small doll. Of course, I did not explain all that in that shloka. Suddenly it is coming to my mind. I have seen such people. They create a small doll, and then they tear away one limb, so that the enemy's that particular limb, it becomes paralyzed. So there are some people who do that. So these are certain things. There are certain siddhis, and then these forms of worship are there. So he is referring to that in that shloka 20. Kamaistaistairhi hrutagnyanaha prapadyante anya devataha. They go to all types of petty things, and then they follow various rituals which are there prescribed in that particular form. And then the next shloka, that is 21st shloka, we discussed elaborately for about an hour. Yo yo yam yam tanum bhaktaha shraddhayarchitum ichchati. So it forms the base. It is one of the, of course, such shlokas are there in Gita, in other contexts also, and in several contexts we find such shlokas. That is, a person can worship the divinity in any form. Yo yo yam yam tanum bhakta shraddhayarchitum ichchati. So what is the connection? The basic need is the shraddha, that commitment, the devotion. That is what is the thing. And then with that devotion, if you worship any form, and that particular form is going to give you the result. You worship in any form, that form will give you result, because that form again is nothing but my own self. That is what Brahman is saying. That form is nothing but my own Brahman manifestation of that Brahman only. And then you are visualizing a particular form in my own consciousness. Whatever form you are visualizing, we are visualizing in that supreme consciousness only. You visualize something called Krishna. In the same consciousness, you are visualizing some form. You call it Brahma, you call it Vishnu, you call it Shiva, you call it some of the Indra, Varuna, and so many things, and then you call it whatever form you visualize, whether they have a name or whether they have a form or even formless. Because some religions, they talk of formless, God. But they are also they are not Nirguna level. They are also at the Saguna level, because that formless God also does so many functions. He favors his tribe. He destroys the rival tribe. So it is almost a sort of tribal situation where one god is head of one tribe and another god is head of another tribe. This man is destroying that tribe and the other man is destroying this tribe. So, which means he is at that Saguna level only. He is not at the level of Nirguna. We are, Upanishad and Gita is talking about an Nirguna level, where this supreme thing is above all these things. The supreme thing is above this Maya. And what all God forms which any religion can visualize, they all come under the ambit of this Maya. Any religion, take any religion in the world, what all they can visualize is they all fall under the ambit of this Maya, because they are expecting some God. You are projecting your own qualities, you are projecting your own mindset, you are projecting your own frame of mind on the God. If you are a good man, you are visualizing God as a good man. So that is why I was telling what Tattva ji says, that is, you tell me your God, I will tell you what you are. So that is what he says. So like that, this yo-yo yam yam tanum bhaktaha, we discussed it at length. And this also tells us how egalitarian our Indian approach has been towards this God worship. We did not go about destroying all other God forms. We only wanted to fuse, we wanted to harmonize. We wanted to harmonize the society by accepting all things. All God forms are accepted. So that is why we have such a variety. Not that we worship so many gods, we worship only one God in so many forms. We worship only one divinity in so many forms. And there are any number of mantras in the Vedas, in the Upanishads about that. And I also told this mantra several times. Sab Brahma Sashiva Saharisendra Sotshara Paramaswarat. Several times I told, because this comes in the Narayaniyam. What you worship as Brahma, it is the same as Vishnu, he is the same as Ishvara, he is the same as Indra, the same as Akshara Brahma. And then I also quoted one line from Ramatapaniya Upanishad. That is, Chinmayasya Advitiyasya Nishkalasya Asharirinaha Upasakanam Karyartham Brahmano Rupakalpana. That is, this Brahma, in that Brahma, who is Chinmaya. Chinmaya means who is of the nature of pure consciousness, Chit plus Maya. Advitiya, something which is non-dual. There is nothing other than that supreme consciousness. There is only consciousness. Chinmayasya Advitiyasya Nishkalasya. Kala means a part, an amsha, a part. There are no parts in that. It is such a homogeneous thing. Nishkalasya Asharirinaha. There is no sharira. There is no body or form to that. But then you are visualizing a form and name. Why? Upasakanam karyartham. Because you have to do some upasana. All people are not equipped with the same ability to go to that nirguna level. So people do want something. People are arthaha, jignasu, artharthis, and there are so many categories. So all these people, they do want some upasana. For them, from maybe some people they want some immediate results. Some people want to take this as a sort of stepping stone and move on to the next level. It is a sort of upasana, is a sort of transition from a lower level to a higher level. So that is also one result of upasana. In upasana, you may be content with some result which you receive. And the next thing is, you are not bothered about this result, but then you use it as a sort of transition to move to the level of nirguna. So that is the point, isn't it? So upasakanam karyartham brahmano rupa kalpana. Of that Brahma, you are doing a rupa kalpana. You are giving a name and nama and rupa, the name and form, only for moving on from a lower level of awareness to a higher level of awareness. So in Upanishads, it is also very clearly said. And then we have not recommended. We means Vedanta. Vedanta does not recommend this type of multiple God forms, but it does not totally denigrate. It does not denigrate, but it says that all forms are one and the same. Okay, that is one thing which we saw. Then Krishna also says in the 23rd sloka, he said, Antavattu phalam tesham. So in all those limited God forms, whatever worship you do, their phalam also will be limited. Because the God form which you have visualized is only a small form. I gave the example of approaching a clerk instead of approaching the boss. If you go to a clerk, he will only give you some small result. If you go to the boss, he will give you a bigger result. So that is the thing. Antavattu phalam tesham. Then again he tells about this yoga maya. Naham prakasha sarvasya yoga maya samavrutaha. So I am not evident for all. This maya, again he is saying that maya is an appearance in me. Maya, that is postulated here. Yoga maya samavrutaha. It does not mean that Lord is less powerful and Maya is more powerful. Maya, it is an avarana shakti which is manifesting in that Brahman. So it is said loka drushtya, from the point of view of the loka, from the point of view of a jiva, it is said that Maya is something which is enveloping. So Maya is only a power which is appearing on the Brahman. So that is it. Then again, Ichha Dvesha Samuthena. We come to the end of this chapter. This Ichha Dvesha Samuthena we discussed at length. Sarva Bhutani Sammoham Yanti. Then again, Yesham Tvantagatam Papam Jananam Punya Karmanam. Then again, those people who do these meritorious deeds, and then whose all this papa demerit has come to an end, they are the people who will be rid of that delusion which is caused by dvandvas. Dvandvas are dualities. So all those dualities, we had a long discussion about what are those dualities. I gave an example from Vedanta Panchadashi, what he calls, what sage Vidyaranya calls Ishvara Srushti and what is Jiva Srushti, and all those things I explained. Then the last two shlokas which we discussed today, this Adhibhuta, Adhidaiva, Adhiyajna, etc., etc. So overall, what exactly is shown in this chapter is that this Para Prakriti and Para Prakriti, they are appearances of Brahman only. They are not different from Brahman. Then for an Uttamadhikari, for Uttamadhikari means for one who is qualified for higher learning, for one who is capable of discrimination, one who is capable of doing that Nididhyasana, he is a Uttamadhikari. For that Uttamadhikari, what is prescribed here is that Nirguna Brahma. That, say Brahman, a pure Brahman, let us say, pure Brahman who is of the nature of consciousness existence. And then for all others who are not capable of comprehending, who are not capable of going to that level, they are called Madhyamadhikari. Madhyama means that middle level people. This middle level people, they are, for them, this Upasya Brahma. One is called Jnaya Brahma. Jnaya means that which has to be realized, that which has to be understood, that is Jnayam. The other thing is Upasya Brahma or Dhyaya Brahma. One is Jnayam and other is Dhyayam. Dhyayam means on which you do Dhyanam. You do Dhyanam, it becomes Dhyayam. So Dhyaya Brahma, it is also called Upasya Brahma because you do an Upasana, you do some Dhyanam. When you use the word Upasana, you call it Upasya Brahma. If you use a different word called Dhyanam, he becomes a Dhyaya Brahma. So these are finite forms, they are delimited forms. This Upasya Brahma, Dhyaya Brahma is for this middle level people who are not capable of some higher, say, level of understanding. So these are the things which have been told here. And then the last couple of shlokas, they used certain words which we are going to see in the 8th Adhyaya also. I think we will close here and then we will move on to the 8th Adhyaya in the next class. Thank you. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Avashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.